if you have a friend and you've been friends for your whole life, but you kind of grow apart. What I noticed with me is that I kept thinking of them as my best friend, as if everything was the same as it used to be, and that puts this pressure on a relationship because it's not, and then you get frustrations about it. But I think at the end they've also realized and accepted things are different, and I think at the moment you accept that, there's a chance for something new to emerge.
Bart, hello. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining me today. I'm super excited to talk about the North. Congratulations on the North being shortlisted.
Thank you very much. It's really exciting.
Walk me through how it was receiving that news.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's something that's so unexpected if you look at what the film is. That we are now surrounded with winners of Cannes and Venice and Berlin and all those big festivals, and then there's our film, which we made it with only 75,000 euros. We were like in total like 8 people, cast and crew. We walked for 300 kilometers through Scotland to make the film, and yeah, for me it's always felt kind of like a just a fun project. And now that it's up there and in this list with best films of Europe, it's really wild.
Yeah, the cinematography, by the way, is absolutely beautiful. I would not have known that you guys didn't have like a proper setup with like makeup artists and like lighting. Well, you do, but you carried it with you, which is
Yeah, no,
wild.
so no makeup. That's just, I think, the natural beauty of both actors. And lighting, no, it's nature. I think that's the quality of Twan, the cinematographer, to yeah, make something great with so little. But also, if you point a camera, if you take a camera with you into the Highlands, it's so beautiful out there. So that also makes it easier.
Yeah, it completely looked like one of those like background photos, on like a MacBook or something in movie form. I mean, I can imagine that's what it looked like in real life too.
Yeah, definitely. And still then I feel if when I am out in nature, and also even with making this film, you can never capture the real thing. Nothing beats the real thing.
Definitely. For those who don't know, The North is a story about two men who were once best friends going on a 30-day hiking trip together in hopes of rekindling their once powerful, now dissolving friendship. Can you take me back to the moment where you thought this is the story that I need to tell?
Well, it's a couple of things. I think we made with my company with Tuesday Studio, we made a first film also about hiking, and we put that on our own platform online for TVOD. And it was also a bit of a financial decision because we were doing okay, but we were losing a bit of money each month. We also in, I think, December 2023, we said we need to shoot a film this summer or else we go bankrupt. So that was that the the pressure was there. We're gonna do this, but then we always knew that we were gonna make another film. And for me, I think that just gave me the little push, the urgency to also actually really do it. But I with a friend of mine, I think in 2018, I walked 3,000 kilometers through New Zealand, and there we also slept in the same tent, just like the two guys in the film. And I kept a diary for my whole journey, and I always felt like, okay, this way of interacting with each other. I noticed that I was so busy with myself the whole journey that it was really hard connecting to my friend. And then afterwards, I also noticed that I had that also with roommates and with other people. We live so close to each other, but how do I really know what's going on in someone else's mind, or how connected am I really? So that was something that was already always there. But I think this little push of, okay, now we really have to start doing it. It kind of accelerated a lot of these thoughts and things that I had, and put them into a story.
Right, right. How did that first story compare to the North, aside from
Um,
hike?
Yeah, so it was the first one. It nothing. It was tricky because nothing that I knew of really did the same thing. So I was after I came back from New Zealand, I went to Norway and I walked 700 kilometers by myself. And during that trip, I felt okay. I haven't really seen films that depict really what it's like to be out here by myself in nature, without the Hollywood style fear of death and bear attacks and all those kind of things, but really more the spiritual side of what's this like? How does this feel? How does it feel to walk for that long? And then the other thing was that it felt possible production wise. I wanted them to also really walk the path. And then, we were with this 5 people crew. That's it. Slept in our tents, no big hotels and, no nice food and all those kind of things, just what we can bring with us. So it was such an experiment. Also, my first long film, but also with pacing, it's a little bit of a slower film. It's not really a plot film. It's all the things that if I would pick a book and then tell me, okay, how do you make a film? It's all not that. So it was such a big experiment. And then when we found out that there were people actually liking this, that was like, okay, wow. I think this is a style that I really enjoy, and I think I can keep doing this.
I really liked the pacing of the film too. I felt like I didn't have to I wasn't like losing my breath, watching. It was something that was really nice, almost like a peaceful like Sunday watch.
No, that's the idea. It's kind of I want you to walk with us. So then, walking takes the whole day. So then you have to get to a little bit of a slower pace. And we noticed that sometimes people kind of need to get into it for the first 20 minutes that you realize like, oh, this is okay. I can take a breath. I can just sit and get into the story. And then afterwards, if you want to go with that, then usually people enjoy.
This film really stuck out to me when I heard about it because I just ended a long friendship. So I was like,
Hmm.
maybe this will help me reconcile some feelings. And it actually did, even though
Nice.
my ending is different than the ending that's in the movie. But in the story, there's a lot of silence. There is a lot of distance in the environment. Even in the shots, I felt like there were distances between like Chris and Louis. How did the setting affect the story once filming began?
A lot. So like I said, we really walk. I think we walked about 300 kilometers, so we didn't do the whole path, but like bits and pieces where I wanted to go. And we have the script, but one of the nice things is we have so much freedom because it's just us, just the 8 of us. So we start at the beginning and we end at the end, and so the characters develop. The actors, they get more into their characters, and we try things out. So if all of a sudden we feel like it's going into a bit of a different direction and that feels good, then we change the script. But also, if it rains, we do the scene in the rain. And if it's nice weather, we do the scene in the nice weather. Or if we get to a place and we feel inspired by something that we encounter, we'll make a scene out of it. So the location gives so much. And we, like in the film itself and in general, I think you cannot really control nature, even though we try with everything. And in film, especially, you want to control everything, but we go the opposite way and just say, okay, we cannot control anything, so then let's treat everything as if it's a gift and if there's these little presents. And then the moment that every one of us, all the crew, we open up to that, um, beautiful things can happen because you have to think in the moment, you have to be creative in the moment. So then nature really is providing and is working. Yeah, no, it's not working with us because it doesn't really care. It just does its thing. We are kind of working with it. I think that's
Yeah.
more the case.
Yeah, you find like a flow. I mean,
Yeah.
after how many days did you guys spend filming?
We were away for 35 days. And then some days we don't film, or we also have resting days. And some days we only walk because we just need to also. It's not like the schedule is not like a normal film. We film and we walk, so we can only film about a couple of hours a day. But in total, we were gone for 35 days.
There were parts in the film where Chris and Louis went their separate ways and then they came back together, and this happened a couple of times. Even when there was no clear resolution, they still came back together. What were you trying to showcase in those moments?
Well, I wanted to see them as separate beings as well, because for me, like, you have a couple of different layers in the story. One is what happens between them, but like I said, where my inspiration was, they're also really focused on their own issues, on the things that they're doing for themselves. Even though this is a story with the two of them, I think if you show them in isolation, we can really kind of focus in on the feelings that they have about their own issues and their own problems. So kind of to make that clear, and also for them to have something of growth by themselves, because I think for both of them it's very tricky to have growth with someone else present, because first their things need to come up, you know, they have also no idea what's going on. And I think the ending for me is more of a sense that I think there's also just acceptance that things have changed. If you have a friend and you've been friends for your whole life, but you kind of grow apart. What I noticed with me is that for a little bit of a too long of a time, for me at least, I kept with the friend that I had in that is I kept thinking of them and as my best friend, as if everything was the same as it used to be, and that puts this pressure on a relationship because it's not, and then you get frustrations about it. But I think at the end they've also realized and accepted things are different, and I think at the moment you accept that, there's a chance for something new to emerge.
Beautifully said. I want to go back to what you said about you guys hiking over 300 kilometers and then also carrying over 30 kilos of equipment. What was the most challenging day on set like?
I think for everyone in the crew, though, it's different. I quite enjoy the physical challenges. Also, I like being outdoors, and so for me, I think for me in the end, I'm the director then, but also kind of a tour guide, where my job is to get everyone to the other side. So the most difficult days were mostly the days that if you have to walk, there was one day we had to walk a good 25 kilometers, but also do scenes. 25 kilometers in a good day walking, that's a whole day. Especially it was also through swamps and up a mountain, and but we also still had to shoot some scenes. So that was also when I did the planning of the whole film. I told everyone this day, this one's gonna suck. And it did, because it was also raining. And the tricky thing was then, oh, we said, oh, nice, it's raining, let's shoot this. And then we put up the camera in the rain, and then the rain would stop. So we didn't have this nice shot in the rain, and then we shot the scene, we stopped, and it started raining again, as if like weather was just messing with us.
Really?
But no, that was a tough day, because I think there's a we have a behind the scenes on YouTube that people can watch, and you also see this little clip of me in the swamp and like my whole legs in the swamp. That was all on that day. It was swamp and then straight up a mountain, and also and still we need to still shoot because it's also a beautiful location. Yeah.
And how do you keep the creative vision intact when things get that taxing?
Well, that's why I write the script, so that when we are tired, you have this thing to fall back on, and you don't have to be creative in the moment. But I think one of the nice things is that with the crew that I have is that always there's always someone that kind of keeps the rest like present in saying like, okay, but we're shooting now. We need to stay focused. And then also when you do a nice scene, we all love film. We're all nerds in that sense. Is that it also brings so much energy when you've done something that's fun and that's cool. So even though that's taxing and that's tough, it still gives energy when you've done that. And then you're with six people and you try to have fun also as much as possible. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. You push each other also through it.
So before it seemed like you were telling me that maybe you resonated more so with Chris on your own journey with hiking with your friend. While you were filming, did you find yourself identifying more with Louis? Did it shift between the two? How did that look for you?
I think I identify with both. I think on one to one, if you look at that, I think I am a little bit more than Yui, more like Yui's than I am like Chris. So, but both come and stem from a part of myself. Which is also funny because Carlos, the actor who plays Luis, after a while he figured that out. So he just started mimicking me in walking my pace. I walk fast just to kind of get a vibe of like, what's this angry energy that this dude have that I can mimic. But during the filming, it was because we were also so in the moment. I was kind of identifying with the person that whose story we were following in that moment. So you have this whole stretch where we're only following Luis, and then when that was done, I was like, oh yeah, now I need to think about Chris again. Like, what has he been up to? So it was really kind of going from one to the other, and who I was identifying with most in that moment. Yeah.
So I want to jump back a little bit to what I said earlier about being shortlisted with the European Film Awards. How has that external validation contributed to the validation you've already personally curated?
No, it's I think when it worked to finance the film, which we did by ourselves, and we shot it and we edited it, and in the end we put it online, and the fans that we have online, they watched it. We were already that was the goal was we were done. It was good. We were happy. Then afterwards, we got this 4-star review in the Guardian all of a sudden, and then we started getting distribution, and now we have distribution in 14 countries, and just craziness on craziness, which we have to remind ourselves, and me as well, like we were already happy when the film was done. So now with the shortlist as well, we're just kind of going, how far can we take this? There's no way that we can lose anymore. So now, for example, I'm in Prague because I have a screening in a little bit, and I have to kind of pinch myself sometimes, like, okay, this is happening. And my wife, who's not in the industry, she's also like, what's going on here? It is, yeah, it's very wild. I have no idea. But then I think also the nice thing is I'm also working on writing a new film, and that's very humbling because then you can think that you were the shit and everything was great and you made this great film, and then there's a page which is totally white and there's no film on there, and you have to start all over from the beginning. So there's no time to start thinking that, I got this. No, it's just start all over again, and we'll do it again. Yeah.
What was it like watching with an audience for the first time, watching The North?
That was interesting because so many people react differently. When we did the premiere in Amsterdam, people started laughing in places where we didn't really expect people to laugh. I was like, okay, well, is that funny? And afterwards, sometimes with Q&As, it's people, they come with vastly different approaches to what the film is about than what my intention was. But in the end, that's also, I think, the intention a little bit of the film is you really have to, you can put your own emotions and your own feelings in it. Like what you just said is that you've had a breakup with a friend, then yeah, that's a lot what the film is going to be about. And I think for people that resonate with different parts of what the story is about, then the film is going to be about that. Which is interesting because that also gives me sometimes, it kind of mirrors like, okay, yeah, it's in there, so I put it in there. What does that say about me that this is also in the film? So no, that's really interesting, and I like those conversations because it also sharpens for me, like, oh yeah, okay, this is all in the film. That's really cool. But usually it's I can sometimes I take credit for stuff that people see in it that I really didn't put in it. But usually I just say like, that's cool that you see that, but that was not that was not what I meant. Yeah, but that's also fine. That's cool.
Right. I've always found it fascinating how, like, someone could create a movie, but then once they put it out into the world, it's almost not their movie anymore, if that makes
No, it's
sense.
not mine. No, 100%, it's not mine because I'm also just a spectator. My opinion about what's on screen is as valuable as other people's. Yeah.
There's a quote that says, "What it truly means to stand still and listen." What have you heard in moments of stillness that changed how you make films or how you will moving forward?
No, I think one of the most important things how I saw it is in the last scene where Luis is on the beach. It was the night before I was on that beach and I was so stuck in my head, kind of thinking, how am I going to approach this scene? And then the sound of the sand, because it was winding, there was a lot of wind, so the sound of the sand kind of picked my attention and that brought me into the moment. And so the sound did it, and then all of a sudden I was just present on the beach, just there, kind of standing there, looking around me, thinking, "Oh, where am I? What's going on?" We're on the at the end of this, at the end of the world, and at the end of this film, and I think just being and feeling that you're there and nothing else is really important, and that moment, I put that in the film. Because for me it feels like, yeah, this is what he's been missing. Maybe it was what I was missing. It's just be present not so focused on the outcomes of things.
I totally also got that at the end of the film. It was very powerful, very emotionally moving for me. You co-founded Tuesday Studio to explore new ways of financing, producing, and distributing films, which seems to have really been working out in your favor recently. What's been the most surprising part of this journey?
I think that two things. One, we're figuring out how the film industry really works, which it is a crazy weird industry. And the other thing is that even though that we're pretty small and starting out, is that there's a lot of people that make bigger films and million euros, this and that, and then I tell them of our freedom, of that we have all the rights, that I can do whatever I want, that no one reads my script except me, and they are also just a bit jealous, and that says a lot for me. It's like, okay, I think we're on the right path of what we're doing. The goal is not now to say, okay, we made this film, now we can go into the industry and get money from there and there and there and there and there. No, it's like, okay, let's stick our course and let's protect the freedom that we have, because in the end, I think that's the most important.
Bart, if we are sitting here 1 year from now, what do you hope we're talking about?
My next film, and the films of a couple of other some of my friends that we are now trying to get made as well. I think what I like to do is support some people that I know are very talented, but don't really get the chance, because the film industry is kind of, you have to make a film to be able to make a film, and I that's one of the things that's very tricky. So I hope then that we found a couple more people that also I feel like, okay, they are very talented, and I can give them a shot, just because this one film kind of exploded, and then we can make a community of people that can really make films in a certain freedom, like I did, and make it just so much more enjoyable also to make something. So I hope that we're talking about that.
That would be great. Where can people find The North and more of your work for those who are watching?
So you can find on tuesdayfilm.com, and
Right here.
yeah, and then I hope also in cinemas in Europe it's going well. I hope in other continents it's also coming. We're working hard on it, so I hope in cinemas soon, but definitely on the website.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah.